All right, boys, April the 27th, 3:36. You know, they got some pretty good threads going over there in the hunting subsection of the Rimfire Central talking about squirrels and whatever. You know, that's a good forum. Let's talk a little bit here about fox squirrels and gray squirrels. Now, I'll just tell you what I've seen in over 50 years. Now, you can be a squirrel hunter, you know, and you can be an archery hunter, hunting out of a tree stand, hunting out of a blind, okay? So a squirrel could alert you to, let's just say, an old buck coming through the woods. He could be coming through there by himself, strolling through, A squirrel could alert you to that buck and make you start paying attention more as a archery hunter, right? Everybody know what a gray squirrel sounds like barking versus a fox squirrel. They don't sound the same. If I had to bet money based on if I heard one solo gray squirrel barking and one solo fox squirrel barking. Now, I'm not talking about they're barking at the same time. I'm talking about you hear a gray squirrel barking and you hear a fox squirrel maybe the next day in that same, maybe you go back hunting and you hear a fox squirrel the next day. Which one would I put my money on if I had to bet this 125-acre farm I own standing on as to which one was telling me the truth? I put my money on the fox squirrel. Now, here's something that's very unusual too, and I'll pass this along. And all of the years that I have squirrel hunted, I've squirrel hunted in places with shitloads of gray squirrels. And I've hunted in places with shitloads of fox squirrels. And I've hunted in places where they're sort of mixed in population, okay? 50-50. I can't even remember the last time or if I've ever heard two fox squirrels barking. Now, we have to discount the mating season, discount the rut. Outside of the mating season, I can't ever remember hearing two fox squirrels in the same general vicinity ever barking. It's always one. Now, keep that in mind as a squirrel hunter. You hear one fox squirrel barking, and you may think that's the only squirrel that's there. Now, let's look at the gray squirrel. The gray squirrel, you'll hear multiples barking quite often. 2 to 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. But I've heard 2 and 3 barking in the same general area a whole lot. All right? And yes, one gray squirrel can bark, and there can be multiples of gray squirrels in the area. Now, we'll go back to this archery hunt little situation. If I heard multiple gray squirrels barking and barking real fast, they're not doing what we call that whine bark. They've got a very fast cadence. If I heard multiples of those, I would give that situation equal standing as far as telling me there's something in the woods moving around versus the single fox squirrel barking. I would give those equal qualification. Okay. But I don't even know, I'm dialing back through my memory banks. I don't know if I've ever heard multiple fox squirrels bark in the same general area or not. I can't remember. So that tells me I probably haven't. Okay? Now, I'll share this with you too, because this has happened to me. I can't count it on 10 hands, okay? A fox squirrel He could be barking and you could shoot him. He may not be barking and you could shoot him. If you shoot that squirrel and it hits the ground, you stand there and you watch. You may stand there 10 or 15 minutes and you're expecting to see another fox squirrel and you never see him. And you think, oh, well, the coast is cleared. There ain't no more fox squirrels here. Or if they were here, they went in holes or they ran away. You better think again. Here's what I want you to do when you're in the woods, and you'll catch this. If you do it enough, you'll see what I'm talking about. When you approach that squirrel, that dead fox squirrel, if there's another fox squirrel in that area, you just haven't spotted him, he will have his eyes trained on that dead fox squirrel. And for whatever reason, and this has happened to me too many times, when I get up before I pick that squirrel up, I'll look up. Now remember, they've got their eyes trained on that fox squirrel, so they've got their body, their head, in a position where they can see that squirrel. And you may not be able to see that squirrel from where you are advancing from. So if you get up to that squirrel, you are getting into the line of sight of that fox squirrel, and you have a higher chance of spotting him. And he may move. You may spook him. You may not spook him. It's happened both ways with me. More times than not, I'd say it's 50-50. All right? If you pick that squirrel up, odds are it goes to 80-20 that squirrel's going to start moving and trying to hide on you. He won't hold his position. If you don't pick him up, it's about a 50-50 shot that he'll hold his position, and you may spy him, and you may even have enough time to get the gun up on him and fire. Now that's what I've noticed hunting squirrels all these years. All right? But the fox squirrel solo barking and the gray squirrel solo barking in two different areas in the woods, 2 different days, I put my money on the fox squirrel as to not lying to me. Meaning that if you hear that fox squirrel bark 3:30 in the afternoon, there's something on the move in them woods. And it ain't a cow either. It's something that ain't supposed to be there, generally is not there. Okay? Now, I'll say this too, because I've got a couple of farms that's got a lot of foxes on them. Red foxes, no gray foxes. There is a high chance, based on limited information, based on what I've seen, a gray fox can come through the woods in the area of a fox squirrel, and the fox squirrel won't even go into alarm red. No barking. All right? But deer, humans, and other things like that, yeah, they'll bark. A lone fox squirrel barking. But that don't mean there's not no others there, okay? I just thought I would share this, it's I've spent a lot of hours in the woods, boys, a lot of different days and a lot of different weather conditions, okay? And naturally, the old fox squirrel, odds are you'll see more of those in the wintertime on an old windy day versus the old gray squirrel. In damp, more stagnant air conditions, you'll probably see more gray squirrels than you will see fox squirrels. That's just the way they are, boys. That's their tendencies, I like to watch them all. You learn from watching them. When you start adding up data over decades, you start figuring things out.